For decades, Plymouth was a name synonymous with American muscle. It was a brand forged on the drag strips, proven on the streets, and etched into the heart of car culture. From the roar of a V8 to the unmistakable lines of its iconic designs, Plymouth didn't just build cars, it built legends. Today, we're counting down the 5 fastest machines to ever wear the Plymouth badge. This is a journey back in time, a tribute to raw horsepower, classic style, and the blistering speed that made these cars immortal. Buckle up as we explore the pinnacle of Plymouth performance. Our countdown begins with a machine built for one purpose: total NASCAR dominance. Coming in at number 5 is the 1970 Plymouth Roadrunner Superbird. In the late 60s, the aero wars were raging on the high banks of Daytona and Talladega. Ford and Dodge were locked in a battle for supremacy, and Plymouth needed an answer. That answer was the Superbird. With its radical, pointed nose cone slicing through the air and a towering rear wing providing immense downforce, this car was unlike anything seen before. It wasn't just for show, it was pure, unadulterated function. Underneath that long hood, Plymouth offered several engine options, but the king of the lineup was the legendary 426 Hemi. This 7-liter V8 was a masterpiece of engineering, officially rated at 425 horsepower, though everyone knew its true output was far greater. The Hemi, combined with the Superbird's aerodynamic profile, created a weapon capable of exceeding 200 miles per hour on the superspeedways. While its time in NASCAR was brief due to rule changes, its legacy was cemented. The Superbird was a declaration of Plymouth's engineering might, a car so extreme and so focused on speed that it remains one of the most audacious and recognizable muscle cars ever produced. At number 4, we find a car that blended brute force with a touch of class. The 1969 Plymouth GTX with the 446-pack. Often called the gentleman's muscle car, the GTX offered a more refined and luxurious experience compared to its rowdy Roadrunner sibling. It was built on the same B-body platform but came standard with more creature comforts and upscale trim. But don't let its sophisticated appearance fool you. Underneath, it was pure, unadulterated Mopar muscle. For 1969, Plymouth introduced a new engine option that would become legendary: the 440 6-pack. This setup took the already potent 440 cubic inch V8 and topped it with 3 Holley 2-barrel carburetors. When you stomped on the gas, the center carburetor handled normal driving, but at wide-open throttle, the outer 2 carbs roared to life, unleashing a tidal wave of torque. Officially rated at 390 horsepower, the 440 6-pack was a torque monster, delivering brutal acceleration that could surprise even Hemi-powered rivals. It turned the handsome GTX into a formidable street and strip contender. It was the perfect combination of style, comfort, and sheer, raw power, proving that you didn't have to sacrifice refinement to be one of the fastest cars on the block. The GTX 440 6-pack was the iron fist in a velvet glove. Now we arrive at number 3, a car that represents the absolute zenith of the muscle car era, the 1971 Plymouth Hemi Cuda. By the early 70s, the pony car wars were at their peak, and the Cuda was Plymouth's heavyweight champion. Redesigned for 1970 on the new E-body platform, the Barracuda shed its economy car roots and emerged as a stunning, aggressive predator. It was lower, wider, and meaner than anything before it. And for those who demanded the ultimate in performance, there was only one box to check on the order form: the 426 Hemi. Dropping this gargantuan engine into the compact E-body chassis created a monster. The Hemi Cuda was a visceral, no-compromise performance machine. With 425 horsepower and 490 pound-feet of torque on tap, it was one of the most powerful cars available to the public. Its shaker hood scoop vibrated with the engine's fury, a clear warning to anyone who dared to challenge it. The Hemi Cuda wasn't just fast, it was intimidating. It could storm the quarter-mile in the low 13-second range straight from the factory, making it one of the quickest production cars of its time. Today, the 1971 Hemi Cuda, especially the ultra-rare convertible, is one of the most valuable and sought-after muscle cars in the world, a testament to its legendary status as the ultimate street machine. Our number 2 spot goes to a car that proved big speed could come in a small package, the 1970 Plymouth Duster 340. In an era dominated by big block behemoths, the Duster took a different approach. Based on the compact A-body Valiant, the Duster 340 was all about power-to-weight ratio. Plymouth engineers took the lightweight, semi-fastback coupe and dropped in their high-winding 340 cubic-inch small-block V8. This engine was a giant killer. While its advertised 275 horsepower might seem modest compared to the Hemis and 440s, it was a famously underrated figure. The 340 was a high-compression, free-revving engine that punched far above its weight class. In the Featherlight Duster, which weighed hundreds of pounds less than the larger B-body and E-body cars, the result was explosive performance. A Duster 340 could run with much larger, more expensive muscle cars, often surprising them at the stoplight. It handled better, was more agile, and offered incredible bang for the buck. The Duster 340 became a hero for the budget-minded enthusiast, a car that delivered serious quarter-mile credentials without the hefty price tag or insurance premiums of its big block brothers. It was a clever, potent, and incredibly quick machine that earned its place as one of Plymouth's fastest and most beloved performers. And now, the moment you've been waiting for. The fastest Plymouth ever made. At number 1 is a car that was never intended for the street. It was a purpose-built weapon, designed for one thing and one thing only: absolute domination on the drag strip. This is the 1968 Plymouth Hemi Barracuda Superstock. In the mid-60s, factory-backed drag racing was everything. To compete in the NHRA's Superstock class, manufacturers built stripped-down, lightweight cars with their most powerful engines. For 1968, Chrysler went all in. They contracted with Hearst Performance to take a handful of Barracuda fastbacks and perform radical surgery. All non-essential items were removed. There was no radio, no heater, no sound deadening, and no back seat. The steel front fenders and hood were replaced with fiberglass. The windows were thin, lightweight glass. The goal was to make it as light as humanly possible. Then, they crammed in the legendary 426 race Hemi. This was not the street Hemi. This was a full-blown competition engine with a higher compression ratio and a radical camshaft. While officially rated at 425 horsepower for class purposes, the true output was well over 500, and with proper tuning, it approached 600 horsepower. The result was a factory-built race car that weighed around 3,000 pounds. On the track, these cars were simply devastating. They were capable of running the quarter mile in the low 10-second range, a speed that was almost unbelievable for a factory car in 1968. The Hemi Barracuda Superstock was pure, unadulterated, factory-backed fury, the ultimate expression of Plymouth's commitment to speed and the undisputed fastest car to ever wear the badge. From the high banks of NASCAR to the stoplights on Main Street, these 5 machines define the golden age of American muscle. They were more than just cars. They were symbols of power, freedom, and engineering excellence. The Superbird, the GTX, the Hemi Cuda, the Duster 340, and the Superstock Barracuda each represent a unique chapter in Plymouth's high-performance history. Fast, loud, and utterly unforgettable, they are the legends that cemented Plymouth's legacy forever. Thanks for watching Deep Dive Automotive. Don't forget to subscribe for more legendary rides.